Hey everybody, Jillian here for Illustrated Faith's Print and Pray Shop, and I've got a new project for you today. I am sharing how I'm going to prep for Gratitude Documented, which starts November 1st. So I have some pieces from the kit here, including the booklet that I will be working in for this year's Gratitude Documented. So we've got the prompts up front, and I'm going to show you how I prepped the first 2 days. But before I do that, I'm going to show you how I shopped my stash to add some things to the Gratitude Documented kit. And what was essential in doing that was this Color Crush little swatch section here. And I looked through printables that I had recently printed, like some of these pieces from Tamara Arcilia, some washi tapes that I had. I also looked at some older kit pieces that I had left over, including some stencils, which are just always good. Some of these really fun label stickers, some stickers from last year's Gratitude Documented, some library card pockets from the Weeds and Wildflowers kit that matched pretty well if you have any of those left over, and then some of these alpha stickers left over from the Good News devotional. So I have stencils old and new-ish from Hello and Amen, from earlier this year, the Beloved devotional kit. So these are just great things these are just great tools to use again and again and again. Here are some other printables that I have from Vanessa Walker's Go Deeper Print and Pray set, and you can see here that the colors just go so beautifully together. And then I also have these Gratitude Documented tags from Jill Drangsholt. I chose to print mine grayscale. I'm not using the tags per se, but she has all of the scripture from each Gratitude Documented prompt already typed out for you. I'm going to pull from these pieces as well as from the kit. And so I'm going to start on day 1, which is Beauty in the Mess. And so here I'm just figuring out how I think I want to build this side. So the little title starter there, a pocket, and then a stencil in the background. And you'll see that I deviate from this ultimately. So I wanted to use some color in the background, and because it's Beauty in the Mess, I wanted to get a little messy. So I have my Bible mats here to help protect the rest of my booklet, and I'll secure that with some of this adorable acorn washi. And then I'm using a Distress Oxide spray and a dauber, or a mini ink blending tool, because I don't have the color that I want to use in an ink pad, so we'll see if this works. Now I started with Abandoned Coral, which was just too bright, too orange, so I'm toning it down with some spun sugar, just mixing the two, kind of eyeballing it, and then swirling my ink blending tool around in that to then put this through the stencil like I normally would as if I was using an ink pad. There was a lot of liquid on there that this little ink blending tool soaked up, and so I'm just pushing that through. It looked promising when I first started, and it didn't work, which is okay. It's not as messy as my past stencil fails have been, so that's a win. So I'm just going to clean off my tools here and then go to plan B. I really liked the stencil, and I just wanted to keep moving and really just not overthink it. I was thinking worst case scenario, it should look messy, because that's what this prompt is all about, right? So I just grabbed another bottle of Distress Ink Oxide spray, the spun sugar, and then just sprayed it very lightly through the stencil, and it came out a little bit better. Once that was dry-ish, I used my Illustrated Faith watercolors. I haven't used those in a while, and did some black paint splatters just to create a nice messy background to journal on when the time comes. So I've learned that I just am no longer in a season where daily creative projects are a reality for me, and that's okay. It's not going to be like this always, but that's where I am at the moment. And so I've found when I do have pockets of time, I could do a little bit of prep work. Or when I'm feeling particularly creative, I could do a little prep work instead of sitting down each day and doing that. So in this case, for November 1st and 2nd, I will have a base that is already like the creative part's done, and I just get to journal, write a prayer, meditate on these verses, whatever that looks like. I mean, it could look different for each of us, but that is my goal this year, and I wanted to just kind of share that option with you in case you find yourself in a similar season. I have this really harsh line that I want to cover up, and so I'm going to use the ephemera from the kit to do that. but not before I do some stamping in the background. I have it layered up with some of Kelly's beautiful florals, which are available digitally. I will link the items that I'm using down in the video description below. And I'm using some StazOn Jet Black ink, which is pretty dry. I need a new ink pad. But it's stamped pretty well. And then I'll just go ahead and adhere my title with the floral vertically on top of that seam to cover it up. I had a big old paint splatter there on the bottom, and I'm not going to leave it like that, don't worry, you'll see how I cover that up in a little bit. But I wanted to go ahead and cut out the scripture that Jill had typed up. I have mine printed on clear sticker paper so that it just kind of like melts into the background. So I'm just double checking that the reference is correct, and then there's a spot at the bottom of each day for the prompt, the scripture, and the date. So you could totally customize the scripture to go along with that prompt. You could date it whenever, you know, you don't have to do it November 1st through 30th. So I like that flexibility in here this month. And then I'm just going to layer this kind of behind that floral. So I'm going to use some of Tamara Arcelia's gorgeous florals, leaves, what would you call these? And layer some pieces together over that black splotch on the bottom. I'll add a few more of these florals from Kelly, and then I have these really cute like stitch marks from Vanessa's Go Deeper set. And so I'm just going to cut a piece of that off and then layer it under my little title cluster here. And I'm loving all of the different layers and textures so far. And that's going to do it for the first day's prompt. So because these two pages are facing together, I don't mind if one element from the other kind of bleeds over onto the adjacent page. I think that'll actually look really cool. So for day 2, the prompt is learning to let go, and I kind of had this concept in mind to use these really pretty clouds from Tamara Arcelia's set, Carried Away. And so because they're printed on sticker paper, they'll look really nice layered underneath this like cardstock piece of ephemera. So I'm going to go ahead and get those down, and leaving some of them going onto the adjacent page, hanging off of the edge, hanging off of the top. This one orange cloud off to the left is a little wonky, but it was not coming up once I had put it down, so we're just going to leave it like that. I used my tape runner to adhere this little speech bubble, and then I'm going to use the ampersand from the Gratitude Documented kit because I have a title in mind for this that I will finish off day of. So again, using my StazOn Jet Black ink to stamp partially on, partially off of that piece of ephemera. And then I'm going to create a second little cluster here at the bottom using this really cute stitched swatch from Vanessa's Go Deeper line. And then I have this little itty bitty scripture that Jill typed up, be still and know that I am God. I thought it would be nice to have that on a teeny tiny little label, just kind of layered on top of this stitched swatch. And so I'm going to add some washi and stamps and ephemera and just all sorts of things to kind of build this cluster up and really draw your eye to this passage. I am using up the very last of my roll of black ray washi tape. I wanted to have something going on in between the clouds here, and so I am going to put this, like strips of it, in between the white space, like in between the clouds, so that there's not white space there. This took a little bit of time, but it was still fun. Alright, it's not perfect, but I'm going to call that good enough. Just adding a little bit more interest up there. I added a couple more finishing touches like washi, some ephemera, and stamps, and I think I'm going to call that done. So I'm all set for days 1 and 2 of Gratitude Documented. I've got some finished photos that you can check out here. I've got all of the items that I used linked in the video description below, and I'd love to know how you are planning to join us for Gratitude Documented. Are you working in the wide format TN, a mini book, a memory dex? I'd love to know. Leave me a comment below. And yay for Gratitude Documented. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you soon.